Hello everybody, I'm Baltmatrix, and today we are taking a look at the studio series that everyone has been waiting for, and that is not Starscream! Okay, it isn't Starscream, it's Blitzwing, and let's be honest, when we all first saw this thing, we thought it was going to be Starscream. I mean, come on, I thought it was, you thought it was, we're not fooling anybody here. But no, it's Blitzwing. I picked this Voyager class figure up over at Amazon.com. It is also going to be available at The Chosen Prime, Big Bad Toy Store, TF Source, you know, all the usual suspects. Oh, and the Hasbro Pulse. But I had it pre-ordered at the Hasbro Pulse, and it still says it's not shipping until like October 20th or something. The figure is incredibly well detailed and well molded, and it's got a few extra bits that we'll talk about here in a minute. It's really good looking, but it's not perfect. I've got this guy on the 360-degree stand for you so you could get an idea of what it looks like standing up or spinning around. And I have to admit, it's really clean, like incredibly clean. We've got two of the accessories there on his back, and then the other two accessories, which would be the weapon pods, there on his shoulders. Or wings. I gotta tell you, I've got to get a quieter turntable. That thing is so freaking loud. Anyway, this little guy is really cool, and I say little, but he's really not that little. It's just so incredibly well detailed and just has this look of just a Decepticon in the way I think a modern-day F4 Phantom, F4 Phantom or F14 Phantom Transformer would look, and it's really good. But, as I said, it's not perfect. The not perfectness comes from, well, this little thing right here, his chest. Every time you move his chest or you go to move his arms, it unpegs the back and it just flops around a bit too much. That's it. That's the really big, bad thing that makes it not perfect. Head and face sculpt are absolutely amazing. The head sculpt is definitely a Seeker vibe to it, which makes me think that we're going to get a couple repaints out of this thing. The face sculpt is kind of like a weird cross between a gas mask and a rebreather that you would use underwater. Blitzwing posability is pretty darn good. Head is on a ball joint, though the super big chin of his has a tendency to hit the cockpit section up here. Shoulders are on swivels and then hinges, and then there are swivels just beneath the shoulders. Bend at the elbows over 90 degrees, and the fists on both hands do articulate. The left hand has just an open pattern kung fu grip. The right hand, however, opens and closes. There is some torso articulation, but it is a little bit limited, especially if you have the side skirt armor all the way out, which the side skirt armor articulated. The tummy piece here articulated. Legs can kick forward and can kick back, and the figure can almost do the splits. Thigh swivel, bend at the knee 90 degrees, and there is 90 degrees worth of ankle articulation, which is actually a byproduct of the transformation. Now remember that hand I was talking about, specifically the right hand, how it opens and closes? Well, guess what you could do with this figure? If you open the hand up and then lift Bumblebee up, you can actually choke out Bumblebee. Which, I love that fact. I could just never get it to... no, falling! Before we get Bumblebee there, we can... use this one cute little accessory that just pops the one hand off and puts in this nice little stabbing hand in. Trust me, it is actually possible to get Blitzwing to actually hold Bumblebee up by the throat. I just can't seem to do it. The figure also comes with the aforementioned weapon pods, which can be plugged into the upper forearms, but that doesn't really work all that well. And then it also comes with this giant gun, which pegs into both the forearm and can be held by either of the hands in robot mode, and that's a pretty big gun. And you can see how much of a pain in the butt this one little problem is. Because the shoulder swivels are super tight, every time you move the arms or the shoulders, you move the chest, which unpegs the backpack. In terms of size, Blitzwing scales perfectly to other Voyager class figures in the line, and is definitely bigger than a deluxe class figure by almost a factor of 2. Some food for thought with the wings. As you can see, it's up like this and makes it look like Blitzwing is, not a seeker. As soon as you fold them back down for the transformation, which we'll get into in a moment, that very much feels like a seeker, doesn't it? All right, transformation time. This transformation's actually pretty easy and is really cool. To start off with, come down to the legs and first take these panels and push them all the way against the thighs, and then come to the front, which this piece is normally sticking out. Go ahead and push it all the way down. Come to the legs, turn the legs 180 degrees. Come down to the feet, fold the feet out so that they're out 90 degrees. Reach inside the legs and flip out these components that have the wings on them. Then come to the feet and fold up the front toes, which look like molded landing gears. Then come to the wings, flip them out, and take the legs, line them up, and just sandwich them together. And they do come together pretty easily. Unfortunately, the rear wings don't peg together. Maybe that's because they're supposed to be apart? I don't know. You could flip out the tail wings like that, and just make sure that these are nice and tightly connected together. Then we can come to the backpack and unpeg, on purpose this time, the wings. Come to the backpack and then flip out this section that folds up along the back. Fold everything down and smush it down into the fuselage like so. It kind of snaps into place, but it feels like it should go down a little farther than it actually does, so this is what we end up with. Somebody better kit bash this into Beast Machine's Jetstorm, that's all I'm saying. Next, we're going to take the chest and flip it up, on purpose this time, open up the little canopy there, and then flip the head down into it until it snaps into place, then close the canopy. Then we can take those shoulders and flip them all the way down. We can flip the nose cone up, peg it into place, and turn the nose cone around 180 degrees, like that. Now for the hardest part of the transformation. Make sure that the shoulders are straight. This whole chest section will peg into the bottom of the plane. Take these little panels that are on the outside of the forearms and flip them to just covering the hands. And make sure that the hands are turned so that the peg hole is facing up against them. And then this whole section will fold in and tuck in behind and underneath the wing back here. And I'm not going to lie, this is a really stupid part of the transformation. Someone who's younger, who's a kid, or, a youngin', those dang dirty kids, can actually have trouble with that. But once you get it pegged in and snapped into place, it's not going anywhere until you transform it back into a robot mode. And here we have the plane mode. Oh, and pull down the landing gear. And then we can attach, weapons and stuff. You can attach the weapon pods by folding the little wings in like that. And then there are these peg holes that the weapon pods, they're not missile pods, they are weapon pods, will peg into. Once those are in, you can then take the weapon or the gun, and it will actually peg in right underneath down here. There's that little peg coming off the centerpiece, and the main gun will fit right there. And then the spiky bit will actually peg into one of the wings on the back. I wish it pegged in back here. It doesn't. The alt mode we end up with is really nice, but it doesn't make me think of an F4 Phantom II at all. In fact, this looks more like an F-16, which is what the original BLITZWING was supposed to be based off of very loosely. So I'm just a smidge confused. In the movie, it was definitely a Phantom. It was. And the reason I say that is because look at where the wings are positioned on this fuselage. They're much too high up. The actual F4 Phantom has wings down here on the bottom coming out and up, as opposed to what we have here where they're coming across. This is much more similar to an F-16. It's odd. Just odd. Overall, I like our little plane dude seeker guy here. I don't care if he's an F-14 or an F-16. Who cares? I'm sorry, F-4 or an F-16. Who cares? He is a good plane robot. The only flaw that I have with the figure is that weird shoulder thing. It looks like it's supposed to lock into place, but it just doesn't. Or sort of does, but comes off really easily. That's literally the only negative I have against this thing. It's a ton of fun. The transformation is fun. The plane mode is good enough. Yeah, you got a bit of robot kibble under there. Who cares at this point? The only robot that I've gotten a hold of that has a plane mode in the Studio series is Shatter, who I still wish we had a Voyager class of this thing. That the plane mode is the only one that I've seen that doesn't have a ton of robot kibble. That's just the nature of the figure, I guess. Overall, this is totally worth picking up. Again, I picked this up over on Amazon.com. It should be available from BBTS and the Hasbro Pulse any day now. So let me know what you think of this figure down in those comments. And while you're down there, hit those like and subscribe buttons. Be sure to hit that bell. The reason I'm saying hit the bell is because if you don't, YouTube sometimes doesn't actually tell anyone that I have new videos up. Anyway, that's beside the point. Thank you so much for watching. I have been Baltmatrix, and I'll catch you next time.